City building games have made a massive comeback. We've had some good ones recently, and I've got 22 more to show you that are on the way. Hello, my name's GameZach, and welcome to my 22 upcoming PC city building games in 2019 and 2020 list. Now, what's brought the genre back in style is moving away from the traditional and adding survival or strategy elements, but that's also prompted a push for the classic too. On the horizon are more unique and impressive developments, with everything from more traditional city builders inspired by old favorites to crazy conceptual city simulations that we've never seen the likes of before. Well, it's time you put your mayor's hat on and let me show you what I've found and why these lists are known as some of the best out there. First off, we have Seed by Klang Games. Humanity is dead. Long live humanity. A massive-looking project where thousands of players explore a living, breathing exoplanet, harvest resources, collaborate with other players, and conquer new lands in a kind of city-building MMO simulation. Every interaction you have with the game is meant to have a knock-on effect on the simulation of individuals, your city, and the planet itself. And working with other players to survive is key. This is the kind of game that sounds way too big and complex to be true. Add on the high-level concepts behind it, Seed is either a super impressive undertaking or it's just promising way too much. It's not even clear what gameplay will be like at the end of the day, but growing cities is in there somewhere. Whether it's possible or not, Seed is an interesting thing to look at and follow for now at least. Next we have The Architect Paris by Enodo Games. Take control of Paris and make it your own. This is another game that doesn't really look like anything else. Here you conquer districts by facing challenges, allowing you to redesign the whole city. Challenges being environmental issues, social problems, population influx, and resource management based around the people, planet, and profit index. You can also create unique architectural designs and share them with others. It's just kind of hard to describe what the game actually is, and if you're intrigued, you should check it out and have a closer look. But it may be another one that's promising too much, as it's a lot to live up to. The Architect Paris may turn out to be a unique game, or just an interesting experiment. Either way, it's something to watch on the horizon. Then we have Metropolisim by Halfway Decent Games. Calling itself a deeply complex city building and management game, this urban city builder boasts zoning, building, traffic, and 10 million population cities. Made by a solo dev and inspired by SimCity, we can roughly expect how the game would develop, and the aim is to make a better, more challenging city builder. Mod support is also planned. So far, the game looks decent, but as it's early in development, gameplay hasn't really been shown off. The plan is to start a Kickstarter and releasing at least in some form in 2019, so we'll get a closer look at Metropolisim then. Continuing the urban city builders, we've got Citybound by AE Play. An open source multiplayer city building game by a single developer, Citybound is aiming to simulate complexity to do with everything in the city, including individual families, resources they need, and day-to-day activities. Zone, build infrastructure, manage your budget, and do all the expected things of an urban city builder, but this kind of game, at least right now, is more of a tech demo really. And the visuals alone aren't going to be attracting that many people to it. The niche audience it has attracted is supportive enough to keep it funded though, and it being an open source development means it could go anywhere in the future. Citybound could lead to an entirely new kind of city building game, and you can check it out now, if it seems like something that's up your alley. And now for a world of pigs in Ymir by Ronchiporc. A kind of MMO 4X city builder with strategy, resource management, diplomacy, and pigs. Made by a solo developer again, and in closed testing now, Ymir has been working on persistent multiplayer servers with up to 100 players, where you can explore the world map, colonize new lands, and conquer the neighbors. Although it might look like an old Impressions game at first glance, it doesn't use the Walker system, and it's actually more like Caesar 1 than it is Caesar 3. Development can be a little slow at times, but it has consistently been getting updates with the roadmap detailing more diplomacy, trade, economic, and military improvements. Some might feel that the game is too slow, but if you like the fundamentals, then you could spend countless hours with Ymir. And then we go back in time for a few games, starting with Neolithic by Alex T. Harvey. Build cities and civilizations in Neolithic and advance to the late Bronze Age. Choose a civ, pick where to build your city on the world map, craft, build, farm, and all that's required to survive and grow. Made by a single person, development can take some time, but the game has progressed significantly over the past year. Characters have needs, strategic positional combat, detailed city planning, and lots of customization are promised. The visual style is a kind of painted look that does set it apart from other games. It raised 13,000 Aussie dollars on Kickstarter, and dev updates are regular enough. Aiming to release into Steam Early Access, we should get a better look at Neolithic once it's a bit more ready. Then we have Dawn of Man by Madruga Works. From the creators of Planet Base, lead an ancient human settlement through the ages as they struggle to survive. Hunt, gather, craft, and fight as you discover new technologies and last against the harsh environment. Going from the Stone Age to the Iron Age, you'll be able to build megalith structures and tame the land around you. Dawn of Man should be coming to Steam in early 2019 after going through a closed beta, so they should have time to smooth out the gameplay. Still in the past, we've got Ancient Cities by Uncasual Games. Starting with a nomadic tribe, you establish a village and grow your civilization in the strategy survival city builder, also set in the Neolithic era. Manage resources, develop technologies, and face enemies as you build your city in antiquity. A living environment with seasons and ecosystems, along with the world map, have also been shown. It raised 125,000 euros on Kickstarter, but development is somewhat delayed. They are working towards a beta, which is where we'll know if things are panning out. So if you like how Ancient Cities looks, keep an eye on it. Next we go to Ancient Egypt with Hard Ancient Life by Small Abandoned Pixel Studio. The city building genre is no stranger to notable Egyptian-themed games with Pharaoh and Children of the Nile, and Hard Ancient Life is looking to add to the collection. Rule as Pharaoh and raise cities, live on the Nile, trade, construct monuments, and worship gods. It's a smaller one-person development, and it's taken some time to get to where it is now. We've been shown some glimpses of gameplay, and the aim is to release into early access on Steam by 2019. It would take a lot of work to get Hard Ancient Life to where it needs to be, so whether the developer is up to the task is left to be seen. Next we go to the Wild West with Depraved by Evil Byte. Banished has clearly inspired many new games, and some are trying what it did best while setting themselves apart. Depraved released into early access, and it kinda feels like Banished set in the Wild West with some RimWorld story and gameplay elements. You establish a town, survive the environment, defend against raiders, and grow to attract higher class citizens. It can feel a little clunky at times, but if development continues with its current frequency, then Depraved could turn out to be something special down the road. And then we have Atomic Society by Far Road Games. Another game that looks to be inspired by Banished, this one has surprised many after releasing into early access on Steam. It's basically a Fallout city builder, and that's something that a lot of people have been asking for a long time. Establish a town, scavenge resources, try to provide for everyone, legislate moral and ethical issues, defend against raiders, and watch people die. Still being a bit bare bones at the start of early access, there is a lot of potential routes this game could go, and it's off to a strong start. How it develops over the next year remains to be seen, but if you're looking at all for something like a Fallout city builder, keep an eye on Atomic Society. And now we go to Workers and Resources, Soviet Republic by 3 Division. Interestingly set with a Soviet theme, construct your own republic and turn a poor country into a rich powerhouse of production. You, the government, are in control of everything, so it's up to you to succeed or fail. Manage resources for production lines, build efficient infrastructure, keep your citizens content, trade with other nations, or build a self-sufficient nation if you want. All set in a 60s to 90s era world. It's an interesting take on a city builder, and a not often seen setting. That could be enough to set it apart, but gameplay will need to hold up to the concepts behind it. Early 2019 is when early access is meant to begin, so we'll see how Workers and Resources Soviet Republic comes together soon. And then we move to OSTRIV by Yevheniy. A Ukrainian-inspired city-building game, you take the role of an 18th century governor to create and manage your cities in story mode or creative sandbox. Organic town layouts, trading, customization, and more are on the table along with mod support. As an indie development, progress and updates can be a little slow, but the game has gone from Alpha 1 to Alpha 2 with noticeable improvements and a roadmap of what's on the way. Notably, overhauled UI, improved pathfinding, and better graphics. The focus for Alpha 2 is also adding in more content, so this is where we'll see it go from a tech demo to an actual game. But it could be a while before OSTRIV actually releases, so I wouldn't hold your breath if you're waiting for the full version. And now for a game that's been a bit of a hit, Foundation by Polymorph Games. A gridless city builder set in medieval times that's all about building organically. Zone where houses go, pull and stretch buildings, add decorations, and all of it has costs and gameplay effects besides looking unique. After trying some gameplay, you really can build almost anywhere and things just adjust to fit the landscape. It's still got some ways to go, but updates are consistent and it's very easy to lose track of time when playing Foundation. And right now the big focus is adding in more content and systems. It may or may not be your cup of tea, but there really isn't too much else out there like this. So if you like the look of it, go check out Foundation. Then we leave dry land and head to Buoyancy by devs on a boat. Build your floating city from rubbish as you harvest resources and survive against fires, sickness, and storms. Build structures and set up supply chains, organize transportation of resources, keep your citizens happy and healthy, explore the ocean world, and fend off pirates. Gameplay footage right now seems a little underdeveloped though, and I have to say that the animations are kinda weird. If it's continued to be developed and refined over the next year or so, then it could turn out to be something special, but that remains to be seen. Buoyancy isn't the only Waterworld-inspired city builder, so let's check out its competition. Still floating along, we've got Flotsam by Pajama Llama Games. Here's another floating city builder with a distinctly more colorful look to it. Scavenge, build, and survive in this feel-good post-apocalyptic world where you need to recycle as much as you can. You'll also be able to steer your whole town across the endless ocean, encountering ruins, wildlife, and garbage. Coming to early access in 2019, Flotsam seems to be ship-shaping up to be a solid game, but will take a while before it's completed. And the visual style isn't going to attract everyone. But if you do like the look of it, then definitely check out Flotsam. Next we float on up to Atmocity by Correcture Games. Now for another floating city building game, but don't worry, it's not a water world again, it's a zero-gravity sky world. Atmocity allows you to build without the constraints of gravity, placing things on their side or even upside down. It's promising a campaign mode, 100 building types, and a retro mode where you can just build your city on the ground. But overall, it's looking a bit content light and very underdeveloped right now. Maybe once more gameplay is worked on and revealed, it could form up to be something a bit more substantial. But either way, Atmocity is aiming for some kind of early 2019 release, and I'll just make sure to have a proper look to know what's in the game before jumping in. Finally back on terra firma, we've got Cliff Empire by Lion's Shade. The Earth has been devastated by radioactive fog, and now you need to build cities in the mountains. Develop multiple cities at the same time, trade between them, and research technologies as you manage ecology and survive against the elements. A nice touch is that you can set the camera mode to orthographic, giving a more retro feel. It looks interesting, but it's also a smaller development where I'm concerned that it could end up lacking in content and gameplay. Cliff Empire will be coming to Steam Early Access too, so hopefully player feedback will drive development forward so it can land in a good place. And now up onto another planet with Industries of Titan by Brace Yourself Games. Calling itself an industrial city-building sim strategy game, it's set on Saturn's moon, Titan. Some gameplay has been revealed and it doesn't look like much else out there. You build a complex, sprawling city, set up production lines, compete with other houses, design battleships, and there's real-time with pause tactical combat mechanics. Your city's influence and production increases your power, and you can battle using your technology, influence, ships, or just raw production capabilities. I know this one's a mix of a city building and a strategy game, but it seems like the primary objective is still to grow your sprawling city, so I'll keep it here. It sounds and looks interesting, but we'll have to wait until closer to release before we get a clear idea of what kind of game Industries of Titan is gonna be. And now to the warm tropics of Tropico 6 by Limbic Entertainment. It's the return of El Presidente as you choose to be a feared dictator or peace-loving statesman. Being developed now by Limbic Entertainment, multi-island archipelagos are a thing, along with more transportation options like bridges and tunnels. Election speeches are back too, and you can customize yourself and your palace with a ton of style and color options. Overall, it feels a lot like Tropico 5, but with some Tropico 4 stuff, which could be exactly what Tropico fans are looking for. Being in an open beta has given us a closer look, but it's still riddled with bugs and plenty of stuff is missing. Targeting a January 2019 release, if all the kinks are worked out by then, Tropico 6 might actually have a chance to be the new favorite. Or maybe it's just trying to mix the wrong things. For our penultimate entry, we've got Anno 1800 by Ubisoft Blue Byte. One of the most anticipated releases of 2019, Anno 1800 seems like it's going back in time again after the series had a trip to the future. It's the Industrial Revolution, and you can be an innovator or an exploiter, an oppressor or a liberator. Promising a classic Anno experience, it seems like it's aiming for older fans, and a story mode campaign, sandbox mode, and multiplayer are available. Museums and zoos are a new thing too, modular buildings that you can customize and add to your collection. Gameplay has been revealed and it looks a lot like an upgraded Anno 1404, which is what a lot of people want, but games like this, like Tropico 6, are always a balancing act of keeping what's old and adding what's new. Either way, we'll know what Anno 1800 is like for sure in February 2019. Finally, there's Lethis Path of Progress 2 by Triskell Interactive. A 2D isometric city-building game heavily inspired by the old Impressions titles, Lethis takes the walker system from games like Caesar 3 and Pharaoh and brings it to a steampunk universe. The first game was okay, but got stuck with some unfortunate development issues, mainly to do with the game engine. This time though, they're developing in the more universal Unity, and it seems to have way more promise than the first game. The visual style looks to be a kind of European Ghibli-inspired artwork. Buildings will be modular, and they're aiming to improve upon all past mistakes. Looking at a 2020 release, Lethis Path of Progress 2 could be the kind of game many have been waiting for. Let's just hope there aren't the same kind of hiccups the first game encountered. Now, of course, with an upcoming games list, some are going to be missed as they're announced over the year, so do check out the pinned comment and description down below. But one hint we do have is Paradox Interactive is considering city building games. They even put out a survey asking people what they were looking for, so we could be seeing more city building games coming from Paradox Interactive. And that's it. That's 22 upcoming city builders that should be releasing through 2019 and some into 2020 depending on their development. Which ones are you most interested in? Also, here's something I'd like to know. Do you like these new experimental city building games, or are you just into the classic kind of stuff? Personally, I tend to enjoy the new approaches, but always end up spending the most of my time with games from 20 years ago. Speaking of, if you'd like to see more city building content, check out my Caesar 3 special challenge playthrough and plenty more city building content right here on the channel, or drop by the other 5 lists for this year where I talk about many more games. Alright, that's all for now. Thank you so much for watching, hope you enjoyed it and found it useful, and I'll see you in the next video.